If I Should Die Before I Wake, Chapter 6, Hillary. The old lady is standing in front of me, like she's waiting for me to say something. I don't. I just watch her and try to remember. I can see the layers of skin beneath her eyes sagging into her cheeks. Her arms dangle at her sides, like a couple of dead trout hooked to her sleeves. I know she should be in bed. Hey, where do you belong? Are you from the psycho ward? You're sick. Stop watching me and go lie down. Okay, don't. What do I care anyway? Just so you know, it's not a dream. Yeah, I figured that out. It's all this fear and not knowing and dying. It's real. I won't be going back there. I can tell you. No one controls me. Got that? I'm holding on, right here. Hey, that's not my life. I'm not scared like that. I don't care about those people. I don't care. They're nothing to me. So stop looking like you know something, old bag lady. You don't know anything. Why is this happening? Ha! I know what Mother would say. It's God's way of punishing you, baby. He's teaching you a lesson, and when God's moving his hand through your life, you had better sit up and take notice. Ever since Tata died, Daddy, since Daddy died, she's gone all religious. Everything is God's will, God's lesson, God's just punishment. The thing is, how come he's never punished her? How come he does something wrong she does something wrong and I get punished for it for the rest of my life? How come all she has to do is get in good with the Lord and say I'm sorry and she's forgiven and I'm left here suffering? It wasn't a dream. It was real with Mama and Bub and Zaid and them, too real. It's like being out trick-or-treating or going into this haunted house and you tell yourself you're not scared because it's Halloween, but then you find out it's not really Halloween at all and the house is for real. All those ghosts and all that evil, it's real. All that evil's for real. You ever feel like your whole body's made of chalk dust puffing inside your mouth, your bones like teachers' brittle chalk sticks, and your heart just a hollowed out chalky chamber? Ever feel like that? Know what that's like? That emptiness? Well, until Brad, I felt like that every stinking day of my life, ever since I was 5. My father was the only one who understood me. He was the one who taught me how to scramble eggs and how to spell my name, how to whistle through my thumbs and pick up sticks with my feet. He loved me and took care of me, not my mother. Yeah, my mother spent the first 5 years of my life dragging around the house in her bathrobe. It always smelled like mustard and she had toilet paper crammed into her pockets. She would take some of it out now and then and use it to dab at her eyes and blow her nose, especially after visiting with me. That's what they called it, my father and Ma visiting. You must wash your hands extra well this morning. Your mother will be down for her visit soon. You wouldn't want to put a grubby little hands in hers, would you? I don't think she ever noticed what my hands were like. Whenever I tried to take her hand, she'd pretend she didn't see and stuff hers into her pockets with her soggy tissues. Still, I always scrubbed them till they were pink and my nails were practically see-through. 'Cause I always figured that someday she'd stop watching herself crying in the bathroom mirror and notice me. And when she did, I wanted my hands to be ready. There is nothing but oppression within her. As well keeps its waters fresh. So she keeps fresh with her wickedness. Violence and destruction are heard within her. Sickness and wounds are ever before me. Do you hear her? That's my freaking mother. She's still here. Still reading her Bible. I can't see her, but I can hear her. Can you? Can you see her? She's mad at me. Can you tell? She never comes right out and says it. She's never said, Hillary, I'm mad at you for what you did. Instead, she quotes the Bible, or better yet, just ignores me. What the hell's she doing here anyway? I don't need her. I've never needed her. Get rid of her. Did you hear me? I don't want to hear her. Hear this, O foolish and senseless people. who have eyes but see not, who have ears but hear not. Do you not fear me, says the Lord? Do you not tremble before me? If I keep talking, maybe I won't hear her. I'll just look at you and talk to you, all right? Am I dying? Why do I see only you? Why is there nothing in this room? Everything is white. The room is all lit up in bright whiteness, and yet I can't see anything except you. I'm dying. It wouldn't matter except for Brad. You think he's here yet? Oh, you don't think he's coming? Mother's full of it. He'll be here. Brad and me, we're the same, you know? Like after I hooked up with him, all that chalk dust inside me just disappeared. Like it was just waiting for the right person to come along and blow it all away. Mother found religion, and I found Brad. We're both looking for something to fill us up. What did she think? I'd choose her way? Can't get over it like that her little Alice in Wonderland is hanging out with those neo-Nazis? Like I've shamed her or something. I don't owe her. I don't owe her. What's that? Hear that? That squeaking? It's moving around me. So how's the patient this morning? The nurse? The same, I guess. She doesn't move. Poor baby. Doesn't move. I'm not a baby. I'm not your freaking baby. You approve of this neo-Nazi thing she's into? No, but what can I do? She must have picked it up somewhere. Must have learned it from someone. Well, not from me. We've never really understood one another. Ah, that's the problem. Yeah, always the mother's fault. Silence. Actually, she probably joined up with her little gang of hate mongers just to get my attention. It's always you, isn't it, Mother? The world revolves around you. To get your attention, a stick of dynamite up your nose wouldn't get your attention. You were always too into yourself to notice anything else. I was always knocking at your bedroom door to see if you needed anything. Remember? Your spells, right after Daddy died? Right after you gave me that speech about never leaving me again? Remember? Mommy, can I get you anything? No, go away. Are we going to eat dinner? Later. But it's been dark a long time. I'm hungry. Later. I'm hungry. Hillary, please, not now. Go away. Should I call the Reverend? No. Just get away from the door, okay? It always ended with me kicking her door and calling up the Reverend. Hi, call me Johnny Johnson. That's what I call him. It freaks my mother out. Hey, I learned how to dial his number before I learned how to spell my own last name. It was always, hi, Joni, to the rescue. What could the good Lord have been thinking leaving the two of us together? You know, when her father died, she wore white to the funeral. She said it was what he wanted. I believed her. I believe he communicates to her from his grave, honestly. But then she kept on wearing white. She wore it until she was 15, until she met that awful Brad boy. Every day, every stitch of cloth had to be white, not cream, but ivory. But winter, ghostly white. I know what you're thinking. I should have said something, done something about it. Thing is, I don't feel right. I don't feel I had the right. That's because you didn't have the right. You left me. You left me. Can you believe it? Daddy dies and she has some kind of nervous breakdown and just walks out the door in the middle of the night and drives off with me screaming out my window after her. No, I didn't have the right. I never had the right to tell Hillary what to do. I never realized what a weak coward I was until she was born, and she's just like me. She doesn't know it, but she is. I'm nothing like you. Nothing. I'm an Aryan warrior, aren't I? I'm not going to listen to this crap. When she was born, they put her in my arms, and I looked down into her tiny face, that delicate pink face, and I knew I wouldn't be able to protect her. I knew that she'd get hurt someday, and I would have no power to stop it. Truth is, she scared me, so tiny like that. Scared me so much I couldn't go near her. Roy got his mother to come live with us, just until I got over my fears. But the longer his mother stayed and the more she took over, the more frightened I became. I was no mother to Hillary. She didn't need me. None of them did. And when Roy died, I begged her grandmama to stay on. I begged her to take care of Hillary, but she was too ill, too old. Yeah, I remember that sweet scene. You and Grandmama start fighting after the funeral, right after the stinking funeral. The taxi's waiting to take Grandmama away, and you're fighting over the stupid luggage. You're tugging on the suitcase like you want to make a trade. You'll keep the luggage if she'll take me. But both of you want the luggage. Too bad you lost, huh, Mother? Then, like 2 nights later, you run off to some hotel for 3 days. 3 days! And I'm left alone in the house with just your crusty old jar of mustard, less than half a loaf of bread, and some old sour milk for food. And get this, Grandma, she leaves me a note on the refrigerator door. A note! If she knew anything about kids, anything at all, she'd know a 5-year-old can't read some letter written in cursive. I spent the whole time staring out my bedroom window, singing and talking to my stuffed dog, Whimper. Really, I still remember the songs. One was about Daddy's flowers bent over crying in the backyard, and another was about Grandmama's sweater with a hole left in my room. And that night I sang about Mr. Funny Sunny Sun. I stayed up through the first night there in that chair and watched the furniture and toys grow so big I thought they'd swallow me. The flowers on my wallpaper turned into these lips with fangs that dripped blood, and the toy dolls on my shelves became live, breathing, spinny creatures that whispered and laughed. You're all alone. There's no one left. No one. By the 3rd day, I knew she wouldn't be coming back, but I couldn't leave my place at the window. I was waiting for Daddy. I just knew he'd come. He always came. Always when I needed him. I knew he'd come back before I finished all that bread. But then the hours of that 3rd day passed, and I was so hungry I just kept eating. I was down to a little square of bread, and I was just picking at it, eating just a crumb at a time, giving Daddy time to get there. But then she comes back. She comes rushing into my bedroom and finds me staring out the window. I was watching this little boy, this baby, laughing and clapping hands with his father. They were the new people who had moved in behind us. I couldn't look away. Mother kept grabbing me and shaking my arms, but all I wanted to do was watch that baby Simon, and his father with the funny little beanie cap on. I kept trying to twist away from her. I knew if I didn't keep watching, they'd disappear, and while she was holding me, holding my face, they did. They disappeared. That happy, laughing father just disappeared. She didn't care. What the hell does she care? She wanted me to listen to her. She kept talking, with her eyes all shining like silver spoons, and telling me all about some Gideon's Bible in a hotel room, and something about suicide like I knew what that meant. Telling me how the Lord made her see the light, and how she was forgiven, and how she was going to make it up to me. How was she ever going, and she was never going to leave me again. Right. She could never make that up to me. Never. She can't get off so free and easy breezy like that. Of course, the children at school teased her at first, with her wearing all white every day, but then they just forgot about her. She simply blended into the schoolroom like a forgotten piece of chalk. You can imagine my first parent-teacher conference, with me sitting in one of those tiny chairs pulled up to the teacher's desk, while the teacher sits towering above me in her teacher's chair. Frankly, Miss Burke, she says in a hortatory voice, I can only show you her work. I don't know your daughter in any other way. Dickie Riley now, he and Pete Dennis are troublemakers. Then there's the little girls' social group that has it ups and downs throughout the day, and I've got to supervise, and of course the class projects. Well, as you can guess, it's quite easy to overlook a quiet little miss who does what she's told and turns in neat paper. Really, that's the way she talked, all superior, and making sure I understood it wasn't her fault she didn't know Hillary even existed. So whose fault was it? Mine? Then if I ask her if Hillary has any friends, and she's real cagey, not really answering me, just saying, she doesn't seem to talk now, does she? Saying it as if she thought Hillary couldn't talk, like she didn't know how. Then she says how she felt Hillary needed to see the school psychologist. A psychologist at 6 years old? Mind you, well, I told her, I said I didn't believe in any of that psychology mumbo jumbo, and if my baby was in trouble, she could just talk to the good Lord. God would show her the way. And you know what? I never went back. To that teacher? No, nurse. What is it? Fulbright? No, I never went back to that teacher, that school, or any other school. I hate schools, always have. See what I mean? My mother doesn't go to school to see how I'm doing because she always hated school. It was nothing to do with me. I don't see a psychologist because she doesn't believe in them. I'm expected to talk to the good Lord. But why? What good has it ever done? She's never talked back. He's never talked back. Thus say the Lord, stand by the roads and look, and ask for the ancient paths, where the good way is, and walk in it, and find rest in your souls. I don't want to hear it, Mother. I hear the clinking of glass, and a quick ripping sound. Something inside me shifts and shivers, as though a cold shot of quicksilver has gone surging through my veins. Look at her. I always liked it best when she was asleep. I could look at her then. I could know her then, or at least pretend I could. She's so small and thin and pale, not because she's hurt, but just naturally. Just like Alice in Wonderland. She is. People always said that. And until she met up with Brad, she always lived on the other side of the looking glass, in her own world, never bothering to look out at us, at me. You got that right, Mother. I always felt like Alice on this crazy, mixed up, upside down, inside out planet. And why should I have looked out from my world? Would you have been there if I had? When I'd come home from work at night, I used to stop outside her bedroom door. It was always closed. I could hear her, though, singing. She and her father were always singing together. He sang the bass in choir at church when Hillary was born. I dropped out of the choir, but she kept going, and on those Sundays when she had a solo, even when she was an infant, he'd have someone bring her upstairs to hear him sing. She loved it. She loved the sound of his voice. Now I sing in the choir at a different church. She's never heard me. She has my voice, not his. Daddy dies, and suddenly you're into this wacko church all the time, drooling over every word Reverend Hi Call Me Joni bellows. Then you start parading around with a Bible and quoting scripture and going to retreat and choir rehearsals and anywhere but home to your empty house, empty except for that white lump of clothing crumbled on the floor upstairs. You took God away from me. I knew God was when I was 5. I could hear him when I was 5. But then you turn religion into performance, a 3-ring circus with a tiny Trini. Father, Mother, and Holy, Hi Call Me Joni, clowns all over you. It's the church that saved me. It's God who's given me strength and courage. If Hillary makes it, I hope she can find good someday. She thinks she's so powerful, so indestructible, hanging out with those hoodlums. She doesn't know how weak she is. All that hiding behind her clothing, behind her Hail Hitlers, behind her fear, she's weak like I was. She's just like I was. That's crap, Mother. Pure crap. And I refuse to listen to it. To whom shall I speak and give warning? That they may hear. Behold, their ears are closed. They cannot listen. Behold, the Lord is to them an object of scorn. They make no pleasure in it. Grandma, are you here? I can't see you. Everything is fading. Everything is spinning. I don't want to go back there, please.